Hello beautiful souls, this is Yami. You're watching Soul Collective. I will be changing the name of my channel soon. I've been working on some things and I'm very excited. I have previously spoken in other videos about depression, the stigma behind that, and even for me, personally using that word because, I believe that there are, just different degrees of emotions, and there is a lot of still, ideas that are taboo as far as depression goes, and really a lot of people kind of just think, okay, you're depressed, get on medication, or you're depressed and fix it, where for me I believe that it's more an individual journey, and it looks different for everyone as far as it's not always just about taking medication. Some people do need it, some people will benefit from that, but ultimately my own personal belief is that anything that we're calling to our experience, whether it's depression or a chronic illness, is meant to help us grow and move through things. For me, as many of you know, I was diagnosed with hepatitis C, and in my right before turning 20 or 21, and they told me that I contracted the disease probably when I was a child, when I was a preemie, and I was getting the blood transfusions. So it was just kind of an accidental thing, and it lay dormant in my body until it didn't want to be dormant anymore. But my 20s were quite difficult when everyone else was out and about having fun and living their lives. I was a shell of a person. I felt like I was just kind of literally surviving every day and just doing what I could to make sure that I had a roof over my head, that I had food and a job, and I would do that, and no one could tell I was sick, so they would just see me, see that I was healthy, but no one saw what would happen when I would get home, how long I slept and how weak I was and how much lack of energy I had. But of course, in all of that, eventually I had time to look inward, fast forward, I went through a spiritual awakening, all of these magnificent and out there experiences that, 10 years ago I would have been like, no way, that's crazy, I don't know. I can't say that I don't, think it's true, but I don't believe you, and that hasn't been my experience, So there was a really different mindset that I had, and had I not gotten sick and had I not been forced to go inward, I would have continued with this very narrow mindset, very narrow belief system, very narrow experience, even when it came to ideas of love, romantic love, happiness, joy, the things that I subscribed to, that I thought, because I was still, in the world and of the world, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, I'm just speaking from my own experience, that eventually the idea of just a 9-to-5 and working and just having a conventional, just a family and then dying, that and trying to enjoy life, that would not be enough for me, that there would be this hunger that would be reawakened, and that there would be this life force and this light within me that would propel me forward, and that would push me to open myself to learn really what was happening to me, and what was gonna continue happening to me, which is this kind of this unfolding and this unlearning. And it's really surprising, because as I look back 10 years ago, I just can't even believe the person that I am now. And one of the things that has been happening, and why I haven't been making videos actually as much as I should, ironically enough, is that I have a lot more energy now. I'm really happy with the different tools and things that have come into my reality. I am super grateful, for the handful of friends that I have that are truly supportive, non-judgmental, but that also speak to me from, their own perspective or their own ideas, and that just kind of are there for me to co-create and co-experience in this life. I have been working on, you know, this idea of having routine in my life, which I've spoken about before in other videos, or ritual, you know, and it's become a very sacred part of my day, a very important part of my day. You know, I speak to other people, and I know this was true for myself, where it was always the case that I didn't have time for certain things, right? Oh, I don't have time for yoga. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to read. I don't have time for this or that. Yet everything else, you know, we push ourselves to make time for, or we force ourselves to make time for, whatever other word that doesn't feel good you want to attach to that. But, you know, you make the time because you feel that these things are necessary, or that you don't have a choice. Well, for me, guess what? There came the time where I no longer had a choice. I no longer had a choice to ignore the fact that daily exercise really allows me to become centered and grounded within my body. Because again, for me, it's very easy to be in my day-to-day life and to experience the divine, or to constantly be open, which again, some of you might or might not understand. That's just my experience. And it was very difficult for me to get things done. When you're open and you're, you know, highly sensitive, or you want to call yourself an empath. I mean, I use the word empath because that's what a lot of people understand now. That, you know, to whatever degree you feel like you're an empath, like to me, it was just like I was always an open, you know, channel, and I was always getting information, and that can just really, you know, wear on the human body and the human mind. Like, I am still in a human body, right? I haven't ascended. I'm still here. So I had to really start tackling, you know, how I was addressing that, because for a long time after I got sick and I rendered my human body kind of useless, basically, I really did go inward, and I started nurturing and focusing on my spiritual self, you know, the self that is the experiencer, the self that is the watcher, the self that, you know, some people deem the soul. And I was just going through that. I feel like that was necessary, right? At that time, that was my lifeline. Not to say that I didn't want to be alive, but that I did feel like I was dead within my body. I was caged. I felt caged in my body, and that my soul yearned and longed for so much more, and so much that I could not do physically in my day-to-day life because of where my body was. You know, and the interesting thing is, so fast forward to now and today, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. The sad thing is, and the realization of what's happened to me in the last couple of weeks and in the last 2 months, and how transformative that's been, is, you know, I used to hear the expression like, you know, you can change your life, blah, blah, blah. You know, all these things that when you're sick and you're chronically ill, you're like, whatever, like, shut the F up, you know, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you're not in my body, you're not feeling my pain, etc., etc. And granted, you know, all those things were real and those were true, and I was feeling pain and I was in my physical body. But looking back, if I had any of the knowledge that I have now, I feel that that experience would have been different. But then again, it wouldn't have allowed me to, you know, be able to sit with people who also, you know, are chronically ill. So to me, there was a great deal of learning that I had to do in really just not being in control, not being able to, you know, control what was happening in my body, and ultimately what was happening in my day-to-day life, and surrendering. And then when I surrendered, I was able to go within, right? Because I was shutting down my light. I was shutting out the voice of the divine for many years because I just didn't want to listen. I wanted to party, you know, and be young and whatever. So it's like, okay, well, your inner soul, your inner calling is greater than this, you know, thing, and you can try to divert and go on to another path, but your higher self knows what you're supposed to do in this world, and it might take you a little bit longer. And again, if you learn about life path number 11s, you'll kind of see what happens with some life path number 11s. And so to me, when I learned about that, again, that was like an aha moment. So it all ties in. But so lately, you know, during my day-to-day, I thought back to when I was sick, and I thought back to, you know, how lonely I felt and how broken I felt and all of these things. But I just remember waking up most days and just feeling like, oh great, like here we go, another day. Like, how am I gonna get through this day? Like, already, like barely opening my eyes. Either I was in physical pain or I already felt exhausted and I had slept 8 to 10 hours. And so to me, it was like, what is the point? So there was my my first lesson to learn. What was the point? I was, you know, in a place of no will, no hope. And to me, one thing that I've noticed in my life now is that is the difference. You know, I wake up every morning excited because I figured out that the greatest difference and what I needed to learn in all of this was that even in that, I had choice. Even every day when I woke up and I felt like that, I had the choice to try to reach for something that felt better, right? And some of you that read, you know, or have learned about the law of attraction, like, to me, there's so many similarities and so many things that are basic that it's like, they are, you know, simple ideas that when you break them down, it's like, okay, it makes sense, right? I should do that. But that it's very difficult to, you know, sometimes undergo because of our programming, because of our hurt, because of our trauma, because of our wounds. So yeah, we can't run before we crawl. I had to crawl to this stage, you know, and no, I don't know how long, you know, it will last. I know that I have infinite, you know, control over the possibilities of my day. That back then, if I would have just maybe, you know, lit a candle for myself, listened to something motivational, that I believe that my experience of that would have shifted, you know, again, because if you understand the laws of the universe, and the things that are at work, like, yes, I'm not gonna wake up, you know, people can't just snap out of these things, you know, depression is real, pain is real, illness is real, right? But you can start doing things that will slowly move you right, because I believe that there's like a, kind of like a thermometer, right? And you're one place in the thermometer where if you want the thermometer to move, you know, you could do it quickly, right? Or even if you do it with the human body, right? Because we're dealing with humans, like that person might go into shock. You're not going to do it that way. You're going to move something gradually. So that's what I did with my own life and my own experiences. I moved myself gradually through, you know, dragged myself through the pain, the hurt, the being ill, you know, everything to get to the place where I am now, to where I understand it's like, nothing is coming from outside. Everything is coming from within. And when I wake up in the morning, I get to choose, you know, what's around me, depending, again, where you are on that thermometer. Yes, some people are poor and have nothing. I get that. But then again, it's like, for me, I was focusing on everything that I was lacking and not anything that was within my control. So for example, I was sick. I couldn't change that. What I could have changed is, never once in the 10 years that I was ill did I ever get a massage. Not once. I didn't seek out anything that could possibly help me because I wasn't in a state of mind. I wasn't in a place of where I thought anything could help me, correct? But that was the cycle of insanity there, because it's like, okay, I was stuck there, but I wasn't doing anything to get myself out of there. And since I wasn't trying to promote any other thoughts other than, this is terrible, I'm in pain, this sucks, I was staying stuck there. Again, instead of now. And even though I'm not sick now, it's like I treat myself even better because, again, I've realized I start with those things. I make those choices. If I had nothing and I didn't have a home, it's like, okay, work with what you have. Work with where you are. If I was living out of my car, it's like, well, what can I do to make me feel better? Maybe I'll go to this park. Maybe I'll go to the library and check out a book. It's like, we have to work with what we have and where we are. There's this book, I wanna say it's called Man's Search for Meaning. I'm not sure. It's I think it's Viktor Frankl. I'm not sure. I don't have to look it up, but it came to mind because this man, you know, he survives the Holocaust, right? The Holocaust, again, you could take any any situation, the worst experience possible, you know, or wherever you are in your life, and think like, this man, the way he survived is he turned things into games. There's this part where it's like, you know, he'd go with the children because he understood, he saw where he was, and he said, nope, I'm not going to let this defeat me. I see what happens, you know, when the people around me, when they're weak, they get shot, you know, whatever the case was. Again, it was horrific and true things that happened, but the way that he survived it was he kept his mind strong, and he controlled, you know, the idea that he wasn't going to allow his mind to go into it. That yes, the things that he was seeing were horrible and true, but he wasn't going to let them take over him, you know, to the point where he helped save, you know, other people, other children, you know, and he would create games and songs with, again, things that were very terrible that were happening in their everyday life, and, you know, experience there in the concentration camps. But again, I feel like that's a very extreme example, but, you know, I guess it just goes to show about this idea. So, you know, if you're watching this, whoever you are, wherever you are, start where you can. You know, if you can't move your body, you know, is there someone around you that can come and, you know, read to you or sit with you? Or, you know, is there something that you'll eat that will bring you joy? Is there something you can listen to that will bring you joy? And in that, you know, first it might just be one thing a day, right? Then it might be, you know, twice a day that you get to experience these things. But how to hang on to those small fragments of joy, you know, is key. And then how to promote and how to keep more of those things happening. So again, for me, that's what's been the most transformative. You know, and it's not to say that it's easy. It takes work, again, because the old me did none of these things. So it's like the new me, it's like I have to push and I have to reset every day. Every time I start going into a negative thought, it's like, okay, that's from the past. That's, you know, attached to fear. What can I do? What can I change about this? Can't do anything? Okay, well, surrender it. What can you do, right? So it's like, for me, it's like, what can I do with my day? I can push myself to exercise. Sometimes it's not, you know, feeling so great, but, you know, that's because I'm challenging myself and I'm growing. But after the workout, guess what? You know, endorphins, blood is pumping, you know, I feel alive, which is a tremendous contrast to where my physical body was 10 years ago, where I felt like I was trapped. So again, hopefully this helps some of you. I am, you know, tremendously grateful for the different things that have come into my sphere. I'm just going to mention some of them to you. If any of you have heard of the books, you know, Conversations with God, or another one that just came to me was, and it has, again, similar concepts, you know, but anything really with the law of attraction. Another book was, what is it called? Untethered Soul, I believe. You know, it's kind of like these similar ideas, you know, but it's like, how can you help yourself, you know, to start becoming the best version of you? And again, if you don't have that, reach out to those around you. We are all here experiencing, you know, similar things because we're in the world, you know, but it's all different. But, you know, someone might have gone through something that's a little bit similar to you, you know. You might see this video and say, yeah, like that makes sense, you know. But again, if it doesn't resonate with you, then leave it. Yoga, meditation, prayer, whatever aligns with you, do that. And don't let the judgment of others, you know, stop you. Don't let, you know, those fearful thoughts of, well, what are people gonna think, you know, or what if I try this and I fail? Try something because this is your life, right? So again, you know, I love you all. You know, please reach out to me, reach out to someone. Do something that helps you feel better, whether it's not, you know, right away joy or happiness. Do something to the degree of where you're at and what you can do. Okay, I love you all. Please take care of yourselves and one another. Love and light. Bye bye.